Imagine all of the money you're missing out on because of the calls you cannot take simply because you're too busy, you're sleeping, or your employees can simply not handle the volume of the calls. Now, what I'm about to show you today will not only prevent that, but it will also save you hours of time while pre-qualifying those missed calls so that you can be as productive as possible. And the best part of it, I will share with you all of this completely for free within my resource hub so that you can take advantage of it, leverage for yourself or for your clients if you're an agency, and make the world a bit more productive. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Yannis Moore. I run an agency called Integraticus, and we focus on AI voice agents for businesses to smoothen out their processes, help them to get rid of just manual and repetitive calls, and make their employees happier by automating those calls with angry customers so that you can call them after when the situation calms down. We do this for mid-sized companies up to Fortune 500 enterprises, and we have massive success with it, which is what I'm going to prove to you today. Oh, and there's one more thing about the solution I'm going to show you today that I believe is like so important, and you're gonna love it. You don't need to be technical to set it up. It's going to be incredibly easy. There's no coding knowledge required. No, you don't even need to handle a lot of automations. It is going to be as simple as using two services that are being combined, and even for that, I provide you predefined things that you can leverage to automate even the setup that I'm going to show you today. So what you will see in this video is a complete setup. And with complete, I mean you will get the AI voice assistant implementation with a predefined assistant that was configured by me and my team. So it is already optimized, so you can literally just look into it and get an understanding of how this whole thing is set up. You don't need to configure everything yourself. And we will also provide you a whole database structure where you can save those missed calls. And like that is not already enough, we will also add interfaces on top. Interfaces are helping you to understand what is actually happening inside of the missed calls so that you have analytics on top of it and you can interact with it sort of like a CRM. The reason why this is so cool is because if you leverage it for your own business, for example, or your clients, you can literally just push in your employees or whoever wants to manage and handle those missed calls and have them work directly inside of a visual dashboard that you can literally share. All of this is going to be part of this video. It is completely for free, and not only that, you can also implement it completely for free without paying a single dollar. Now I'm so excited to show you the setup, so let's just dive right into it. To make this whole setup work, there are only two things we need, which can literally just not be simpler. The number one thing we need is Vapi, which is our AI infrastructure layer. So it's basically what enables us to make those AI phone calls in the first place. And the second thing we need is an Airtable account, because Airtable is going to be our database / management system that we are going to leverage for this whole setup. Now to get started, I suggest you to head over to hub.integraticus.com. That is my resource hub. Over there, I'm sharing everything that I show on my YouTube channel completely for free so that you can leverage it inside of your agency or for your business and make more with voice AI. It is completely for free, so simply head over to the resource hub and you will find a manual that looks something like this. The title is not fully clear yet, this is why you probably won't see it, but the manual is there. And once you are there, you will see that as well linked under the video. So in the video description, you will find a link to this resource hub page. So you can literally head over there and just follow me along on the screen, which I definitely recommend because it's going to be the easiest way. Now, to get started, all you would do as well is you scroll down here and you go to duplicate Airtable database. So the Airtable base is basically a predefined integration or a predefined template that we created inside of my agency that you can import into your very own Airtable account. The way you do this is very simple. First, you head to airtable.com, you create an account for yourself. Once you've done that, you head over here and click on this Airtable URL right here, which will open up the base that we predefined for you. So you will see as well 3 records right here with some testing entries that contain all of the details that we are going to import. I will just briefly go over them so you understand what's happening. I mean, the first ones are probably very simple and easy to understand. So we collect the caller first name, the phone number, the time of the call. This is just a temporary field that we don't need to go into now. The call duration, summary, transcript, call recording, and here we are tracking some more important things that we believe are just important to track along the way whenever you have any kind of missed calls. This is more general, so we have removed some of the fields that we usually use for clients. And this is just a basic setup that tells you the urgency level of the call. So if there's, for example, an emergency, let's say you're in a service-based business and people can actually have real emergencies, it will classify that over here. Success evaluation, just whether or not the call was successful or not. An assignee, this is if you want to assign those tasks or specific calls to employees inside of your company that handle those specific tasks. And here, whether or not there's a follow-up needed, so if you need to call them in the first place afterwards or not. Along with the tasks, this is just a high level of what action tasks need to be done after the call when you follow up, and some follow-up notes. Status is for managing this specific call, which I'm also going to show you visually. Now, with that out of the way, what you do is you click up here on copy base, which will then create a copy of that Airtable base inside of your Airtable account. Now, once you've clicked the copy base button, you will see a pop-up that looks like this, so you can add it to your workspace. You will probably only have one workspace right here, which is the one that you select, and then you click on add base. Now, after you selected the base, congratulations, you have now imported your very first Airtable base, and this is already functional in its own way, so you can already use the database and use the interfaces in case you just wanted to have the Airtable base, because some maybe already have some kind of missing call feature set up. But if you don't, this is perfect. You have now the Airtable setup ready. Now let's head over to the manual again, because if we are scrolling down now, oh, and by the way, you will see a password. I didn't mention that. For opening the Airtable base, I didn't need it because I have been creating it. So you will see a password right here, which will then allow you to copy that Airtable base. So it's right under the link and you can just copy that and use it. Now the second part we need to do is we need to set up the Airtable automation, but only partially. So you can go through that list, but I'm going to show you visually how that's done and what we need to do for it. So let's head back over to our Airtable base. It's called missed call logs. So this is the name of the base that we just copied. And we have one table, which is called missed calls right here. And those are the fields that I already went over. Now to get actually started with the automations, you only have to head over to the automations tab right here. And you will most likely not find any automations because Airtable doesn't import them when copying a base, which is the only reason why we need to create it manually. And this in here will be the most complex part of the whole setup, even though I believe it is not really complex if you just follow along the screen, as all you need to do is putting in some dynamic variables that we fetch from a webhook. Now, all we need to do for now is click here on add trigger. And here we are going to select when webhook received. This is going to be our trigger. So this automation will fire when something else, in our case Vapi, is going to send a report to Airtable. This is the outcome we try to achieve, and this is what we're going to do here. Now, once you've done that, you will see here a sidebar, and this sidebar contains a URL that looks like this. So hooks.airtable.com. You want to copy this URL and now head back into our resource hub. Now we come to the awesome part that I predefined for you so that you have literally zero effort of creating that assistant in the first place. Now, if you already have a Vapi account, awesome. If not, create one. Simply head over to vapi.ai and register yourself. And once you're logged into your Vapi account, you will head over to platform assistance and you will see an empty tab right here. Just to confirm, you will probably not have any assistant in the first place. And I just opened it here so I can show you. So let me just refresh this whole thing and you will see that there is no assistant available, which should be the case if you create a new account in the first place. But if you have already some, no worries, I named it properly. Now, there are two ways on how we can set this whole thing up. The first way is that you just copy the JSON that I have mentioned here under assistant JSON. This is basically a copy of that whole assistant that I already created, so you can import it yourself. Now, if you're not technical and you don't want to deal with API requests, I have an easier way for you, which is this form right up here. Because all you need to do is you need to add your Vapi API key and you need to add the Airtable webhook URL. So the Airtable webhook URL I've already copied, so I'm just going to paste it here. And the Vapi token is located inside of your Vapi account. Now to get the Vapi token, I'm going to show you as well. All you need to do is head over to your Vapi account, go down here on your email. Then within here, you go to API keys and you copy the private API key that you will see over here. Now it's important that you copy the private key in this case. And don't worry, your private key will not get exposed anywhere. Everything that you will see in the manual or add here will be only available inside of your browser, so your client. So this will be never shared with us. We don't track anything of that. It's literally just there for making the connection inside of your browser to your own Vapi account so that you can create this assistant. Now all you do is you paste this key over here. And now for the best part. All you need to do to create this assistant that I already predefined with a proper prompt, with proper first message, a whole setup, and as well a proper analytics setup, which will also save you probably a couple of hours if you're doing this the first time. All you need to do is click on Create Assistant, and if everything works out, you will see here a message called Assistant Created Successfully. Congratulations, now you imported and created your very first Vapi assistant that is completely predefined with everything you need. Now to verify that it actually worked, you simply head over to your Vapi account, you head over to Assistants, and now you will see an assistant right here with a name that is predefined. So yours will be called literally the exact same, Lisa, customer support, Janis more. And you will as well have the model, the whole prompt. So this is a completely optimized prompt for that specific use case so that you don't even need to take care of this. Obviously, depending on your business and whether or not you have specific needs for your missed calls, you can adjust those instructions here. But those that we added are generic. So they basically just help you to take whatever inquiry the user has, mentions them, tries to extract some additional details about it, and just passes them along to our database. Now, I won't go much over the settings because it is already predefined. You don't even need to do anything else in here, which is awesome. So this setup is already done. The only thing we need to do now is head over to our Resource Hub documentation and go to the next step, which is connecting a phone number and testing the Vapi assistant. Two things in one, both happen inside of Vapi. So what you do now is you basically need to have a phone number, and you have a couple of ways on how you can get that phone number. Now, the first one is by simply heading over here in the Assistant tab, in the Vapi dashboard to phone numbers. Now, as you can see, I already have a phone number available right here because I already pre-imported that from Twilio. Now, if you don't have a number, you can either buy a number through Vapi, which also allows you to test this whole thing. What I recommend you though is to go here to import and import your very own number from Twilio. So Twilio is basically just a cloud platform that allows you to purchase numbers that you can then connect to Vapi so that you can interact with the voice AI agents through an actual phone number. It is literally as simple as adding your account SID and your auth token. Twilio has its very own manual for that. It's directly available in the account. So what you would need to do is you need to head into Twilio, purchase a number, add your details here, add the Twilio number, and click on import, and you will see just the same number as here. Now, once you have imported it, you click down here on Assistants, and you select the assistant that you want to connect. Now, for some reason, mine is duplicated here, so I'm just going to select one of them, and that's it. Now, if I refresh this thing, it should look proper, with only one assistant being available, which you can see here. These are customer support, Janis Moore. This is how you would like to see it, and this is literally all you need to do. Now, we have configured this whole setup. Everything is there. So the phone number that you basically added is now connected to the assistant, which brings us to the next step, which is testing. Now, I'm going to go through this test with you live on this call, and I'm also going to show you that the call works and how it sounds with a predefined prompt that I added. Now, while calling it and you're not sure what to say, if you head over to our Resource Hub, you will also see here a little helper that just tells you what you can try to say in case you just want to implement it and see how it reacts. And I noticed I have some grammatical issues here, or some misspelling, so I'm going to fix that as well. But anyways, let's just give this one a call.
Hey, Lisa here from ShopSmart. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Janis here. I ordered a product a couple of days ago from your online shop, and it arrived broken.
Hi, Janis. I'm really sorry to hear that your product arrived broken. Can you please provide me with your order number so I can make sure we address this issue properly?
Yeah, sure, of course. That is MQ443773.
Thank you for the order number, Janis. I'll make sure this issue is noted and sent to our support team. A team member will follow up with a callback to help resolve this for you. Is there anything else you'd like to ask in the meantime?
That's it. Thank you very much. You get the gist. It works. It collects your information, and it now, since we have already configured everything inside of Vapi, has sent that information to the webhook that we defined inside of Airtable. So Airtable has already been notified about this call, which is where we come to the next step, which is down here, finalize the Airtable automation. Now, this is probably going to be the most manual part of this whole setup because we cannot import automations directly by duplicating an Airtable base, which is why I'm going to guide you through this whole setup step by step so you actually see how we set up this whole thing. Now, once you've made the call, all you do is you head back over to your duplicated Airtable base. And now right within here, in the webhook trigger step, down here you click on test trigger. And if everything works out, you will now see in the results step successful, which means that Airtable has been probably notified about the call that we just made with the Vapi assistant. Now, you will also see all of the details right here in the webhook body message, and that contains kind of all of the details about the call, including the analysis and all of the other things that we predefined, which is why we can now go to the next step, because obviously an automation needs an action, so it actually does something with this information, which brings us to the next part in the automation, creating an action. To do that, we click down here on this button, and within here, you select create record, because what we want to do is we obviously want to register our missed call in the table for the missed calls. So we do that by selecting the create record here. The label is, you can define it. I'll just leave it empty because it's not really required. And now down here for the table, you want to select the missed calls table, which is the predefined one that we have set up while copying the Airtable base. And now you're required to set up some fields. Now we're gonna click here on choose field because we need to set the majority of those fields within the automation. so that we can fill them with the information that we get back from Vapi. Now, obviously, the first one is going to be the caller phone number. So you simply select that, and now you will see here a little plus, which allows you to add dynamic data, which we can now map from the Vapi data. So you click simply on this little plus over here, and now in the body here, in the request, what you do is you open that, you click on message, and right now here you scroll down until you see customer, which is going to be here, and you're going to select this number field here. After you selected it, you will now see in this field body message customer number, and this is how it should look. So if you've selected it properly, you should see this value being dynamically selected. Now let's add the next field, which is going to be the call duration, because the time of the call is going to be dynamically calculated based on whenever we create the record. So yes, it's not 100% accurate because it depends on when the call came in. So you probably have a delay of like 1 to 2 minutes, depending on your setup or how long the calls take that customer is going to have. That's why we select call duration. And again, same thing. Now you will see that you have to add a number. We don't want that. We want to dynamically map it, meaning we click over here on the gear icon and we select dynamic. Once we've selected it, you have again the plus. Now we can head over again to body, messages, and if you scroll down a little bit more, you will see here the duration, which is this one. We want to have it in duration in seconds. So this is the one you want to select, duration seconds. Once done, you will see here that it pops up and it has the actual value, as you can see in the preview as well, 57.933 seconds. So it took us nearly a minute to go through this whole call, which is going to be saved in the database. Now you probably get the gist of that. We're gonna do the same thing for all of the other fields now. So let's just quickly head over it. Call summary, gonna select it here. You click on the plus, body, messages. Now you scroll down here as well, where you find the summary, which looks like this. Gonna do the next field, call transcript, same thing, again, plus, body, messages. And if you scroll down here, you will see the transcript. Go again to choose field. I'm gonna take call recording, because this will contain the recording of the call. So you will actually have a recording of the whole call in case something got interpreted wrongly in the call. You can still make sure that you can listen to the call and go back in time, basically listen to what the AI actually said and what the user said so that you can extract it yourself. Now the way this works is we go here again on body, messages, and now we scroll down until we see the recording URL, which looks like this. You don't want to use the stereo recording. I usually don't like it that much. It only makes sense if you want to debug stuff. The best case is probably just using the standard recording URL. This is the one you select here, which then will import and completely upload that recording into Airtable. So you will basically have this recording saved separately from Vapi, which is awesome, because you have it directly inside of Airtable. And in case something happens or your records are being deleted, you will have it still in Airtable available, and you can basically clean that stuff from Vapi, which is also great for GDPR, for example. Now let's continue, choose field. I'm gonna select here urgency level, and urgency level is the first one that we have set up in the analysis tab or in the structured data. So for selecting that, again, clicking on gear, dynamic, now we click on the plus, body, message, and now here you will see the analysis tab. And here we click on structured data, and down here you will see urgency level. These fields have already been preset and pre-configured inside of your Vapi Assistant with a template that it just imported. Now we select urgency level, continue, choose field, follow-up needed, same thing. We don't want to select a from the dropdown, we go to dynamic, click here, body, message, analysis, structured data, and callback needed. So in that case, it's called callback needed, not follow-up needed, just to mention, it's still the same thing. So callback needed equals follow-up needed. Choose fields. Now we're gonna add the caller first name. Now the caller first name is only being collected because we defined that somehow in the prompt that we mentioned the customer name, and we're trying to extract that at the end of the conversation. Again, clicking on body, message, analysis, structured data, and here you will find first name. Now you've obviously seen that it has interpreted my name wrongly. It said Janis, but that is because from a phonemic perspective, it sounds the same, which is the reason why it pronounces it at least the right way. If it would write Janis, the way it's actually written, it would probably say Janis and not Janis. So this is phonemically the more accurate writing. Now that's just a small side note. Let's just continue with the field setup. I'm gonna go here, click on follow-up notes, again on the plus, body, message, analysis, structured data, and here we have callback notes, continue, choose field. And now we don't need to set up the status because the status is going to be something that will be preset by the backend. So it's always set to some sort of action. Same thing, by the way, for the assignee. So the assignee in that case is going to be the employee that you like to select. So if you have someone that you always want to select automatically, What you would do is you click on here and you just select it. In that case, it's me. So if you want to assign those missed calls to someone specifically, you can invite them to your Airtable setup and you can select them right here. Now the next thing is we're gonna add the last two parts, which is the task. So the task basically just contains action items that we might want to take after the call, which just help us to get a better picture of what was actually happening and what the user needs help with. So we click on it, click on body, message, analysis, structured data, and right in here we have the task setup, which we select here. And lastly, we're gonna go on choose field. Now we're gonna select success evaluation, because this is the last one. And this one is not located in the structured data. It is actually the success evaluation from Vapi. So Vapi predefines a specific data format for that already. That is also already configured for you inside of the Vapi assistant. So again, we click on the gear item, select dynamic, go on the plus, body, messages. Now we go to analysis, which is right. And now we select success valuation. So once you have selected that, congratulations, those are all of the dynamic fields we actually needed to select. And now to actually test it and make sure it is being added, all we're going to do is click down here on run as configured, and then we need to run the test. Now, before I run the test, I just want to show you again, if we're going to head over here to the data, you will see that we have 3 entries available. So now if I go back to the automation, I'm going to open the action, scroll down again, go to run as configured, and now I run the test, you will see that it basically uses the data that we just made in our call. Now let's just quickly go over that. It mentioned that it created the record, which is awesome. So we have the record. It also added the call summary. So basically what we wanted, you can see Lisa from ShopSmart spoke with Yanis about a product, blah, 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 etc. There's the whole transcript in a readable format. It uploaded the call recording. It also added the urgency levels, etc. So now heading back over to data right here, you will see that we have a new entry over here. Now let's just quickly go over this row right here. So you can see it has been filled with the time of the call and buffer is being set automatically. So those two fields we never set, they've been filled automatically. Call duration has been set, call summary has been set, call transcript. You also can see the recording and you can actually listen to it right within here.
Lisa here from ShopSmart. Who am I talking to?
Which is awesome. Now we have the urgency level as well, success valuation, etc. So all of the fields have been set and the status has been set to not started, because that is something where you manually can adjust in which status this missed call is. Which kind of brings us as well to the last part of this whole thing. Now you successfully managed this whole manual, so there's nothing else to add. Now it only comes to actually leveraging that inside of your company or for your clients. And the way we usually do that is by creating interfaces, which is also already part of the base that you literally just copied. So what you're going to see now is also available inside of the base that you have, and you can leverage that for yourself or for your clients. So to access it, you simply head over here to interfaces, and it will load all of the interfaces that we pre-created for you. So this, you can imagine this as some sort of front end that you can share with your team or with your clients, where they can interact with the actual missed calls that we had so that they can get a better understanding of what happened with those calls and how they should be treated. Now the first one is just an overview that literally just contains a list of all of the missed calls that you have. So you can go through them, you can listen to them, you can see the status, you can obviously filter them as well based on urgency level, assignee, follow-up needed. This can all be configured by yourself as well in case you would like to have custom values. But let's for example say we are interested in this one because it's a high urgency level. So we can click on it and you can see now as well that the whole setup and details. So you can just read through that, see how it behaved and if it actually got everything correct. You can see here as well, it's at MQ443773. That's literally the order number that I mentioned during the phone call. And if you want to update here as well, you have 4 fields that you can manually adjust, which is the success valuation, urgency level and follow-up needed. So in case you think, okay, this person doesn't actually need a follow-up, you can just simply set this to no and it will not need a follow-up. Those values are just internally. The one that actually matters is the status. Because if you, for example, went over that, you can just set this to completed or your employee can set this to completed, which also marks the call as being completed. So it is not as important anymore, or it has been handled by a human. Now, this is just an overview, but the ones that are actually interesting for you, which I think is also the one that is probably the coolest, is the missed call single right over here. By clicking on it, you will now see that we have a whole list of completed calls that we already have manually reviewed and the ones that have not been reviewed yet. Now, this is something you can filter by here, for example. So now we have the missed ones first, or the ones that we haven't handled yet, which now allows you basically to go through them and say, okay, cool, yeah, there was a call. I can now listen to it. I can see what needs to be done. I can basically call that number as well and just talk about the problem, take more details if it's necessary. And if everything was done and you basically taken care of this missed call, you simply set it here to completed, and that client knows it, and you can see it automatically sorts it. So you can just work through the list if you had any kind of missed calls, and you make sure that you don't miss a single other one. Now, lastly, I want to show you another one, which is another tab, which is only available in the Teams version. So while the setup works in the free version, this last tab is only available in the Teams version, because what that does, it basically adds a timeline that just shows you on which day you have gotten how many missed calls, which again just helps you a little bit more for tracking. But I just wanted to add it in there, so in case you already use a Airtable Pro version, it helps you to get a bit of a better understanding when those calls actually happened, which maybe also helps you to just determine some traffic or peak hours of whenever people call after your hours. Now, obviously, this is a simplified setup that we just broken down so that it's easy for you to understand, replicate, and use. So this is already super valuable. And I would even say, if you rebuild this for your clients and you just optimize it for their needs, this can also easily be a $3,000 product that you can sell for yourself, or maybe even resell for your clients, because it is already valuable in the way to set up. Now, lastly, what I would like to mention is a little bit more of how you can customize that, because obviously now you have the setup in place, you can play around with it, you can test it, and you for sure want to add more details. So the way to add more details to those interfaces, for example, is by clicking up here on the missed call log, you go to edit pages, which then brings you to a sort of page builder that you can use to customize those fields. And if you say now, for example, you would like to add some specific things right here, we can add certain fields and values by going to the page, for example, and now selecting certain things. As you can see here, we can configure the whole setup. We can even pre-filter them. So if you say you're going to build this and resell this, you can even set a filter here for a client that you can define in the missed call log. So let's say you have a certain assistant that sends calls. You can filter it for that assistant and then share access to those pages only to this client. Yes, that's a bit more of a different setup that you can approach, but it works if you want to manage multiple clients through your very own Airtable account, so that you can resell it for a retainer, for example. Now, let's say you want to, for example, instead of having this list as an overview, show some actual reporting data, which you can also do. What you would do is you would click up here on page. You can now select from down here the dashboard, which shows you like an overview, as you can see here. I'm going to click next. You can select the missed calls. And as you can see, it already pre-fills some of those fields for you. I click on finish, and now as you can see, I'll just drag up the dashboard right here. You can see that we had a total of 4 calls. You can also see the importance, or like the urgency of this call. And it will also show you some more details about the urgency level and success evaluation right here. So obviously this is stuff you can customize, but I just want to show you that you can even customize the whole dashboard right within here, add your very own nuances to it, and share that with your client. Now, to share it, and if you want to make those changes, all you do is, by the way, you click up here on publish, which publishes it, and you go here over share, and here in share, you can invite those people to Airtable, which you can do here by the invite link. So they are required to have an Airtable account, so they need to create one in case they don't have one. But it allows you to share those pages specifically with your clients. Now, the way you want to do it, if you want to share it with your employees or your team members, you can go here over on the interfaces, because all of the interfaces will be within this list. So you can even have multiple ones. And let's say you want to share only the missed calls interface with your employees. You click here on the 3 dots. You go over here on share. Gonna go to invite by link. We create a new link, and now you can see that I can select the interfaces. This is basically the ones that we want them to have access to, and with them I mean whoever has the link available and signs up through that. So you can select it from down here. Obviously right now we only have one available. This is why you see only one. And you can also say what they're able to do. In most cases, I assume, especially if you work with team members, you can simply set read only, because in case you want your team members to have access to it, what you can do is you can just set it here to editor, and they will be able in the front end to edit those fields. At least the ones that are editable. Now you can also give them access to the backend data, which I wouldn't do in our case because we predefined this whole thing in the overview page. And you can also set here any kind of email address, which allows you then basically to just send the link to whoever needs to have access to it. If it's not just your own domain, you create the link, you send it over, and they can access those dashboards. Now, long tutorial short, I really hope this whole setup is helpful for you and you understand the gist on how easy it is to actually create a Vapi assistant and connect it with an Airtable setup to have a complete CRM that already helps you out of the box to leverage AI for understanding and handling missed calls, because it just shaves off a little bit more of manual time that you would need to put in for recalling all of those leads. And it also pre-qualifies them and allows your team to handle that instead of you, which is awesome. Now, I really hope this setup helps you a lot, and I really hope this video has been helpful for you. If you liked it, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and like the video. And if you have any specific questions, you're most welcome to drop them below in the comments. I'm reading through all of them. That's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time and see you next time.